Hey everybody, welcome back to the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. I'm your host, Gordo Gambles, and welcome back to another full card breakdown, this time for UFC 284. Yes, we are going down under. We got a pay-per-view in Perth, Australia, and it is a fun one, guys. Of course, the headliner, the top two pound-for-pound fighters in the world, Volkanovski moving up to face Islam Makhachev. Man, what a fun bout. You know what, like this card may be lacking name value, may not be the best pay-per-view card, but we do have some very, very exciting matchups, and I'm happy and looking forward to diving into them right now. Before we do so, make sure to hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel. Last week, we did pretty well. We had a lot of Jubilee, of course, a lot of Sergey as well, which kind of led to our downfall, and we had a decent DraftKings night, looking to improve on it here because we're going for gold. So without further ado, let's get things started. We got ourselves a nice little matchup at 145. Tukhugov, 25-1 versus Brenner, 13-3, a product of Shoot the Box with Charles Oliveira. First fight of the night, we have the biggest favorite on the card, 9.6K, Tukhugov. And you look at his DraftKings score, and I bet you a lot of people are thinking, why is this guy so expensive? I mean, he's only scored over 110 points once. For me, I don't get the matchup too much. It seems like to be a huge step down in competition. Brenner's a guy who I don't really put too much stock into. Sure, he has a decent jiu-jitsu game, but I don't think he has the best wrestling to get it there. And on the feet, he's going to be completely lost. So when you're throwing him into the deep end against someone like Zubairov, you're going to be in for a long night. So to me, this is Tukhugov all day. I don't think he's a guy who I see losing too often, because on the feet it's going to be him being quicker to the punch, holding more power, winning these striking exchanges, and the takedowns aren't there, but the takedown defense of Tukhugov is. I mean, over 8 fights in the UFC, this man has a 100% takedown defense. I don't see Brenner really changing that here. For that reason, you have to go with Zubairov for the official pick here. So the real question remains, how do I think is he going to get it done? Is he going to live up to his 9.6K price tag on DraftKings? Well, that's where I'm really struggling here, because Tukhugov isn't typically the best DraftKings scorer. 72 points in a decision last time, and sure, although he does have knockout potential and the ability to go out there and score well in doing so, Brenner's never been knocked out. Although he's never fought this level of competition, I've never seen really too much of a chin deficiency from Brenner, so you can't count on that knockout too often. So that means that a large majority of the time, Tukhugov should be winning a striking exchange, probably putting up 90 points in the process, and will that be optimal at 9.6K? That is tough for me to find out. The good news is he's going to be coming in at low ownership, I expect, because not many people are taking him to start off the night at 9.6. A lot of people are counting on the durability of Brenner to make sure that Tukhugov isn't optimal. And in doing so, I mean, Tukhugov definitely has power. He has knockdown potential. He needs the ability to get this quick win if he's able to go out there and implement his entire skill set. So the pick is going to be Zubairov. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give him the knockout, but he's not one of my highest owned fighters because I don't think that knockout comes too often. Even when it does, don't think it's going to be optimal a lot of the time. So I'm taking Zubairov. I think he's a fine cash target, but I think there are better GPP targets than him on this slate. Next up, we have Shane Young versus the Dana White Contender Series alum Blake Bilder making his UFC debut. Speaking of UFC debut, Shane Young's had one of the worst debuts ever because he fought Alex Volkanovski. How tough is that? But he's back. He's in his home country of Australia, and he's taking on Blake Bilder. And to me, this is a very, very fun matchup because you have two guys whose style are pressure, and that is going to bring volatility, that is going to bring entertainment, and I do think it is going to be a fun scrap. Blake Bilder came on a Dana White Contender Series as an underdog against the Canadian Alex Morgan. I know, the state of Canadian MMA is very atrocious right now, but Blake Bilder got it done, utilized that chaos, he thrives in it, and he found that submission win in that first round, doing so in very impressive manner. That's what Blake Bilder does. He's all gas, no brakes, constant offensive output. He's always looking to find that finish, and that's really all he does. Not the best minute winner, but with a forward pressure style, you're looking to break your opponent. You're looking to find those openings, whether it be with power on the feet, with a decent submission game of his own right. The problem is he isn't that good defensively. He gets caught with a lot of strikes, hit with a lot, and also puts himself in some dangerous positions. So against better level of competition, this could be a problem for him. I just don't know how good of level of competition Shane Young is, because Shane Young, although he is also a pressure fighter as well, he also gets hit. Doesn't have the best power in his own right. I don't even think he has a submission game to take advantage of the holds of Blake Bilder. So really, in my eyes, it's going to be Blake Bilder landing the more powerful shots, winning on the judges' eyes, having more ability to finish this fight wherever it goes, whether it be on the ground or power on the feet. And I do think he is more dangerous here and a better GPP option for DraftKings. But with this pace, with both these guys walking forwards, can Bilder keep it up? How are the nerves going to be in his first fight? He's tough to trust from a moneyline perspective, from a betting angle, but I'm all over violence here. I think not only is the under a good look because Bilder's going to come out guns a-blazing looking for that finish and could be finishing his own right, but I also think Bilder's a great DraftKings option because what's his ceiling? What's his path to victory? It's probably a finish. Finishing a guy who has been knocked out before, albeit only once, but a guy who does have holes, a guy who's coming off a lengthy layoff, and against a guy who is going to be maybe a bit nervous, but also against a guy who's not going to be as dangerous as Bilder is. So most of this finish potential lies with Blake Bilder. I think he also has better optics in my opinion, and he is going to be my pick to win this bout here. Next up, 7-3 Loma Lookboonmee versus Elise Reed, and this is one where I'm all over Loma. It's Loma season. This is going to be a shorter breakdown because I do think she excels in a lot of areas here. Now, I have backed Elise Reed before, but she's not something always to write home about. She doesn't have the best ground game. She was taking down control and dominated by Sijara Eubanks in her debut. Her striking is okay, but I do think it will definitely be subpar compared to the Thai strength of Loma Lookboonmee. Her Muay Thai style is insane, great knees with the middle, great clinch, and she also has a very sneaky ground game that could really exploit the holes in Elise Reed's game. All this to say is this is Lookboonmee's world. She'll have more output, more powerful shots, win the striking exchanges, win the clinch battles, and definitely win the ground exchanges. Not only is Loma a decent parlay piece if you want to go down that route, but she's also a very safe cash play in my opinion. At 9,000, it's hard to get to her because, again, women's MMA, we don't know how often this fight will finish. But she could be a good contrarian play if she's able to utilize her full skill set and get rid of Elise Reed down the stretch, whether it be with takedowns, control time, ground and pound. I wouldn't put a finish off the table either. I'm really high on Loma Lookboonmee this week, and it's kind of scary, but it's also a spot I'm pretty comfortable in. Give me Loma. Let's give Elise Reed the benefit of the doubt and say decision, but I would not put a knockout past her. Next up, we have ourselves another Australian, Jack Jenkins versus Don Shainis. Don Shainis coming off of he got the short notice replacement. He had stiff level of competition, got finished, and rightfully so. It was a huge step up, but Jack Jenkins, fresh off the Dana White Contender Series, this guy's an active grappler. 4.14 takedowns landed per 15 minutes. She gets him at a 66% accuracy as well. The guy's a good wrestler, and I do think that's going to be a huge advantage for him in this spot. I think he's going to be the better wrestler, the more physically imposing guy. Has the height advantage, has the reach advantage, is the hometown boy, and all this leads you to believe he is the rightful favorite in this spot. Jack Jenkins inside the distance is minus 125, and I get it. I do think he has a good ability to finish this fight. And for that reason, he is a guy I'm looking to target on DraftKings at that 9.3K salary because he does have finish upside. In addition, he is going to come at a lower ownership than people around him because he's not as well known as Della Maddalena, as Makhachev. He's going to come in at lower ownership, but also have good wrestling path to victory to score well as well. So I don't mind Jack Jenkins on DraftKings. I think he's a good contrarian option. I think he has takedown upside, finish upside here. He has a decent ability to get this done. But with the UFC debutant, with a guy we don't know too much about, it's hard for me to trust him as much as other fighters on this card. So as much as I like Jack Jenkins, and I do think he's a great pivot play and contrarian play on DraftKings, I'll be playing this one with a little bit of caution. But of course, the pick will be Jack Jenkins. Next up, we have the debutant 11-0 Francisco Prado versus Jamie Mullarky. I love Jamie Mullarky's eyebrows, man. That guy scares me. But he's getting a UFC debutant here. Mullarky is, again, a hometown guy, but he's drawing a dangerous fighter. Francisco Prado, 11 fights, all 11 wins, all 11 finish wins. This guy's dangerous. He's got KO power, as you could see in his last bout, first round knockout a minute in. But also a decent ground game. The thing about this guy is he isn't the best minute winner. He is a finisher, and all power to him. That goes great for DraftKings because Prado at 7.5K, his path to victory is to finish Jamie Mullarky. Jamie Mullarky is a guy who comes out really slow, who has been finished early on in previous bouts. Prado's a very, very live underdog. Unfortunately, what we have here is a guy who's not only making his debut, but is getting a huge step up in competition, going into enemy territory. So as much as I think Prado is live early on, not only have we seen him not face the best level of competition, but we've never really seen him dragged out too much into these deep waters, and Mullarky will only get better as the fight goes on. So to make this simple, the pick can be Mullarky, although I do not look past the upside that Prado has early on. Either way, I want violence in this one. It's a very popular option this week, and I get it. Under 2.5, minus 150. It's pretty much Prado round one, or Mullarky's going to take over and probably finish him later. I think Mullarky's the better minute winner. I think he has more cardio as well, and will be winning this fight down the stretch. Mullarky has decent power on his punches as well. So although Prado is a guy who I'm going to look towards on GPP lineup because of his first round finish upside, Mullarky's also a guy I'm looking to be a bit contrarian up top. I mean, he's 8.7, and his win condition is most likely a high volume late finish or decision. So this is a fight I want a lot of ownership in. I keep drawing myself to Prado as a live underdog because his win condition scores so well, but the official pick will be Jamie Mullarky this week. Next up, we have the 7-2 Clayton Rodrigues versus the 13-6 debutant. I know I've been saying debutant a lot this card. Shannon Ross. Shannon Ross coming off the Dana White Contender Series. He did not win, but he's still here anyways. He's fighting in his home country. Clayton Rodrigues coming off a loss as well. You could argue he won, but he didn't fight to the best of his abilities. He did not live up to that heavy favorite price tag he had last time, and at 9.4K last time out, he burned some people, me included a bit. Now, this is where I get a tiny bit of bragging. Clayton Rodrigues opened up minus 180. I snagged him at minus 188. I do think he is the rightful favorite in the spot, and that line isn't ballooned. I'm not here to talk about the past, no, I'm here to talk about the line as it stands. But I have to say, the line where it is now is probably more accurate. Minus 320, I think that's how it should be. Clayton Rodrigues is going to be I think just a lot better than Ross in a lot of areas. Ross has 1-2 in his last 3 and has been knocked out, has been finished in both of those losses. Rodrigues is going to have the longer reach. He's going to be the younger fighter, and I think he's going to be just a better overall fighter. He's going to have great power shots, great counters. This guy is very well versed as well in the grappling, and I do think he covers Shannon Ross in a lot of these areas. I also think Rodrigues is the more physically imposing guy, and for that reason, not only will he be winning the minutes, but can be winning the minutes wherever this fight goes. Moneyline-wise, I'm on Klidson. DraftKings-wise, it's really hard for me to look at this one because Klidson Rodrigues at 8.8 is very, very tempting. Ross was just knocked out. We can see he was dropped a few times. If that Contender Series fight against Vinicius was on DraftKings, it scored very well. Knockdown points, finish points. It would be a nice scoring fight. So if Klidson Rodrigues is able to replicate that same type of style, that same scoring ability, he's going to do very well. It could very well be optimal at 8.8K. In addition, we're getting some decent CLV here because he's only 8.8K on DraftKings, but he's a huge favorite on the money line. You have to think he's going to be decently popular because of that. All this to say, I think Rodrigues is a decent cash option and has also decent GPP upside, but he's the side of this fight I want. This isn't a fight I'm too much looking to target both sides because I do think Ross's win condition is more likely not than making this a scrappy fight, trying to entangle Rodrigues, drag him into deep waters. And in doing so, I don't know how well that scores. So Rodrigues is the side for me. I think he knocks out Ross here and has decent GPP upside as well. So at 8.8K, I have a lot more Rodrigues than I do Ross, I'll tell you that, and I do think he wins this fight pretty convincingly. Next up is an interesting one, because it's Baghdasaryan versus Joshua Culibao, and it has the potential to be a very, very high-scoring DraftKings matchup, but it also has the potential to be an awful scoring one. And you have to be really careful how you're targeting this one. I have to be really careful how I explain it, because in my mind, when I see this fight playing out, I think that both fighters, their path to victories could score very well, but it also relies on Josh Culibao. Because the fact of the matter is, Josh Culibao has 0% takedown accuracy. This guy is not able to get any takedowns. And in my opinion, if you're not able to take down Baghdasaryan, you're not going to have a high chance of beating him. Because if there's one thing Baghdasaryan does is he has not only a good get-up game, but he's also very good at winning these striking exchanges. Fighting from range, he has insane power in his punches as well, and has seemed to have good footwork as well. So if Melsik stuffs these takedowns and stays at range, he probably doesn't score that well. And this fight as a whole could be one you could pass on. But the alternate reality is Culibao shoots in for a ton of takedowns, either gets them and scores very well because Melsik has a good get-up game and Culibao can just rinse and repeat takedowns, or in doing so many takedowns, Melsik can just catch him with something. So it is an absolute mess of a fight, and let's just say my notes are in shambles about this one because it does have all the makings of a decent scoring DraftKings lineup, but not one I'm going to have too much ownership in because of these uncertainties. I cannot trust Josh Culibao to go out there and proactively get takedowns. I cannot trust Baghdasaryan to score well with his point fighting style, so it's going to have to be a DraftKings pass, although I am aware of the upside it may have. Betting-wise, I'm on Melsik here. I think he wins this fight more than the line entails. I don't think he should be an underdog. I think he has good takedown defense, good get-up game, and the striking will be not really close in my opinion. Melsik there all day. Don't know if I will get to it because of these uncertainties, but he is the side I'm looking at. Pick will be Melsik, pass on DraftKings. Next up, Tyson Pedro, 9-3, Modestas Bukauskas making his return at 13-5. This is one I am targeting on DraftKings. Let's put it that way. This is a fun fight in my opinion, and Bukauskas, all power to him. He got kicked out of the UFC, lost 3 fights in a row. He fought his way back here, and he's been doing really well, but he's drawing a tough task. Tyson Pedro hasn't had the most success. He's lost to Rua. He's struggled in all fights that really have exited the first round, but he's got some favorable matchups. Villanueva and Hunchslager back-to-back are gifts. And everything we've seen from him so far has seemed to be a lot of improvements. We know he has a good ground game. His striking seems to be well improved as well. So how does this fight really go down? In my opinion, there's 2 outcomes. If Pedro gasses early, is not able to get those takedowns, is not able to win the striking exchanges, Modestas is going to be a great underdog option at 7.3 because we know he can go 3 rounds. We know he has power in his punches. And so far, he's shown to have decent takedown defense. I mean, 100%. You can't blame him on that. So in theory, Modestas is a good DraftKings option as an underdog. Unfortunately, I'm liking what I see from Tyson Pedro. I think he's made all the right improvements. I think he's got a good corner behind him, and I think he's looking to go out there and put another statement win under his belt. At 8.9K, he can go score his 3rd first-round finish in a row and score over 100 points. Probably at lower ownership because I see a decent amount of people on Modestas. So I gotta go Tyson Pedro here. I think he is very, very live to get this done, whether that be through grappling, controlling, and even getting a finish out there, but also with that forward pressure, chomping that tree down with the leg kicks, looking to get those takedowns in and out. I like Tyson Pedro, but I do think it's done in his home city. But I'm completely aware that the winner of this fight could score very well on DraftKings. All right, main card time. This is the meme fight of the night, right? Light heavyweight, Alonzo Menifield, Jimmy Crute. You have the tank, the muscle momminess of Alonzo Menifield versus the mullet daddy in Jimmy Crute. I just had to put that out there. A total finish rate of over 80%. These guys are violent finishers. Jimmy Crute has a lot of talent. There's no denying that. He's a guy who has a great ground game. His striking game's coming along. He's fought some good level of competition. He just has horrible fight IQ. He grappled with Serkinov, who he knew he had the striking advantage with. He struck with Anthony Smith and didn't shoot any takedowns until his knee was limp. And then he walked onto the same punches a few times to the current champion in Jamahal Hill. Jimmy Crute's a good fighter. And I think he has all the tools to make a decent run here at this division. He just makes horrible decisions. On the other side of things, Alonzo Menifield has had the most historic run of opposition. Whoever this guy's manager is, you get him a raise. Makes his debut against Vinicius Moreira, one of the worst fighters in that division ever. Gets a win. He then gets a tall task in Paul Craig, beats him as well. And then since then, it's been Devin Clark, loss. That's okay. St. Preux, which is a fight that he should be winning a lot of the time at the age that St. Preux is, loss. Then he fights Fabio Chiron, 0-3 in the UFC, tweets he's horny on Twitter. Ed Herman, what is he, 83 years old? Then he loses to Thick Willie William Knight in a fight that was not the prettiest to watch, and that if he fights that same way against Jimmy Crute, he gets destroyed. And then gets back in the winning column against Askar Mozarov. Mozarov. I don't know his name. No one knows his name. Who is this guy? Nobody knows. And his most recent win against an 85-year-old Misha Serkinov. So whoever this guy's manager is, get him a raise because he's getting these favorable matchups. This is a huge step up. It's a huge change level of competition. Sure, Alonzo Menifield has insane power and decent top control, but he's not going to be the better grappler. He's not going to be the better technical striker, and he overswings, leaving himself to be open a lot of these times. So although Alonzo Menifield always has an opportunity to nuke anybody and could probably put out Crute's lights, he will be the far inferior fighter in my eyes, a guy who I don't think is going to have that much success in this fight if Crute fights the best of his abilities, and for that reason, I'm picking Jimmy Crute. From a betting side of things, give me the under. From a DraftKings side of things, I am all over this fight. Jimmy Crute, if he wins, he's going to score very well. Alonzo Menifield, if he wins, he's going to score even better because his path to victory is a first-round knockout. I don't think Menifield has the cardio to keep up with the grappling. I don't think he has a submission game to submit Crute or really dominate him for a decision. He doesn't have the hand speed, in my opinion, to beat Crute to the punch for a volume decision. In my opinion, if Menifield wants to win this fight, he blitzes Crute, tries to find the chin. If he can't do that, he loses. I'm all over this fight. Sorry that was long-winded. Pretty passionate about this one. It's a pretty fun one, right? But a fight I want a lot of ownership in on DraftKings. Well, you will not see that same type of passion for this one. Tafa, Porter, I'm going to keep this one short. Both these guys aren't that good. I get the love for Porter. He's a guy who's going to have takedown upside. He's a guy who's going to be able to control a guy. Tafa was not good. Tafa lost to Jared Vandera. Stylistically, though, I'm on Tafa. I think Tafa's the hometown guy. He has decent hand speed, powerful. Porter doesn't defend strikes that well. Either way, so sloppy. Do not want to bet on it. I'll have a decent amount of exposure to this fight on DraftKings because they are heavyweights. There is a high implied chance that this fight does finish, whether that be Tafa by knockout or Porter due to ground game and control, but not one I want too much involvement in. All right, back to the passion. 13-2 Jack Della Maddalena, 16-4 Randy Brown. I've tried fading Jack Della Maddalena, maybe one of my worst mistakes as a capper. Hasn't gone too well. I'm not going to try to fade him here because although Randy Brown is a guy who has a decent submission game, is the best fighter Jack Della Maddalena's ever fought, this is a fight to get Maddalena a win in front of his home crowd. This is a guy who has been knocked out in Rudy Ramboy Brown. This is a guy who has insane power on the Maddalena side. This seems like one they're trying to set up for him. So I think if finish materializes either way, Jack Della Maddalena is one of the best DraftKings scorers we've ever seen. 3 fights, averages 116 points throughout all 3 of them. He's a fun fighter to watch. I do think that the pressure, the power, the output of Jack's going to be too much for Randy Brown. I don't think Randy Brown's going to have too much takedown and grappling success. Give me Jack Della Maddalena. Give him a win by knockout. Decent GPP play at 9.2 as well. Co-main event time for the belt. 5 rounds. Yair Rodrigues, Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett fighting for the belt. Good for him. I mean, the guy is powerful. We know that. He can win a fight at every time. And I chirped him last time for not having enough output. And he proved me wrong. He won a decision against Calvin Kattar. In doing so, he only scored 72 points. And that's the problem I have with Josh Emmett here is although he is a powerful striker, I don't think he's going to be the best DraftKings scorer. And I don't think he has enough wrestling upside to beat Rodrigues here. I'm on the Yair Rodrigues side. He is going to be my official pick, and I do think that he has good volume to win this fight and score decent on DraftKings. With that being said, do I see this fight going all 5 rounds? Probably. Emmett's pretty tough. So if Yair Rodrigues is going to win a 5-round striking battle from range, it's probably not going to score better than the people around him. And Jimmy Crute, Jamie Mullarky. Do I want to say Tafa on that list too? Point being, although this is going 5 rounds, I think Yair Rodrigues is a better cash option than he is GPP. There are a lot of good options on the slate GPP-wise, so maybe stay away from it, but the pick is going to be Yair Rodrigues. And last but not least, the battle of the 2 pound-for-pound best, Islam Makhachev, Alexander Volkanovski. You know what? It's crazy because Alexander Volkanovski is 6.7K on DraftKings. You thought you would never see that. It is absurd, but it's probably warranted. Islam Makhachev is a beast. He's going to be a lot bigger. And although Alex Volkanovski is an insane striker with the ability to knock anybody's lights out and is one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, if not the best, Islam Makhachev is going to take him down. And in doing so, he's going to probably bully him with his weight and maybe get a finish. And it's tough to say because I'm not the biggest Volkanovski fan. I am a Holloway fan, we get that. But there's no denying Volkanovski is one of the best fighters we've ever seen inside the octagon. He's well-rounded, he is a tough dude, and he fights with a lot of adversity. But when you're being taken down by Shane Young, by Yusuke Kazuya, by Chad Mendes 3 times, almost choked out by Brian Ortega, a guy who's bigger and stronger and powerful like Islam Makhachev is probably going to go out there and do the same thing. As long as this fight stays on the feet, though, it's Volkanovski all day. He is so smart, so technical, and just has a great ability to read people and score well. So I'm owning a lot of this fight, and you kind of have to, right? If Volkanovski wins this fight at 6.7, it's probably a knockout, and it's going to score insanely well. It will be optimal if Alexander Volkanovski wins. On the other side of things, if Makhachev wants to go out there, take down, rinse and repeat, and look to finish, he can score 116 the same he did against Moises. He can score 119 the same as he did against Oliveira. Makhachev is a killer. He's going to have a huge weight advantage, and Volkanovski better bring his A game. Should be a very, very fun fight, but official pick will be Islam Makhachev. All right, that's going to do it for me here on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. I know I talked a lot for this pay-per-view, so I'm going to try to wrap it up real quick. Prediction-wise, give me Tukhugov, give me Bilder, Lookboonmee, Jenkins, Mullarky, Kletson Rodrigues, Melsik Baghdasaryan, Tyson Pedro, Jimmy Crute, Justin Tafa, which is disgusting, Jack Della Maddalena, Yair Rodrigues, and Islam Makhachev. DraftKings-wise, I'm all over that main event, Makhachev Volkanovski. I have a lot of ownership of Pedro Bukauskas, a lot of ownership of Mullarky Prado. That's probably my highest owned fight. And I'm also on Bilder as a dog with also probably more than I should have exposure on Volkanovski because he is the slay breaker, in my opinion. That's it. If you guys want to see more of my breakdowns, please check me out on WizBet's channel. Check out me with Brett Apley on DailyFanMMA. All that is linked down below. If you have any questions, please check me out on Twitter, @GamblesGordo, @GordoGambles, wherever you can find me. That's where I'll be posting my full slate of bets, and I hope we get ourselves a second winning week in a row. So with that out of the way, I hope everybody enjoys this UFC card. I hope everyone enjoys the Super Bowl too. Happy Super Bowl weekend. Great weekend ahead of sports, and I wish everybody the best. So hopefully you guys gained some insight into how I'm targeting this slate. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel. Let's make some money, guys.